I was having conversations with people, and it looked like my boys had a really rough night.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. All right. Lex Pinz and Pete show. We are here to react to a bunch of stuff went down. We had the dispersal draft. We had a couple trades go down. The league's starting to kind of heat back up again. Before we get to all that, we're going to start with a word from our sponsor, Sundog Multimedia. That's at Sundog_multimedia on Instagram. Sundog, they're an online communication and social media company that were once just a personal tool that has since evolved into something much bigger, allowing users to communicate, research, and discover things that impact their lives and daily decisions. Sundog will collaborate with you, build and execute a modern yet nimble social media strategy by utilizing innovative and traditional media principles. One more thing, Sundog Multimedia is also a proud supporter of the Stop Soldier Suicide Foundation. Another word from our sponsor, brains, brawn, and true professionalism. That's easy peasy moving in service, moving, muscle for hire, assembly, errands, you name it, they'll do it. Easy peasy, a multi-service team. Need something? Just ask. All right, let's get on to the first topic. George.
Sundog.
Yep. Sundog, good brand, good brand. Easy peasy moving services. Thank you to our sponsors. All right, dispersal draft. George, I guess we'll lead into it. So as you were starting to say, your boys, I think it's a consensus around the league. They did have a rough night. These are the people that you've been vouching for over and over again. You've really wanted them in the league. So in a sense, they're kind of tied to you. They're kind of a extension of you, a representation of you. So I feel like you can kind of answer for them here because you are who brought them in the league. You are who is kind of informing them everything. What the fuck? What was that draft? What are your reactions to it?
No, they had one of the worst drafts, certainly in modern history, maybe all time. I wasn't privy. I told you I was with, for you guys that don't know, one of my really, really good friends moved to Hawaii, so he hasn't come back too often. So he came back home, so I wasn't able to sit in on the dispersal draft. Shout out One Pinz. That's not One Pinz. You know what I mean? That's just the game. We was pushing Pinz before y'all was pushing P, and it was cool. But that's a story for a different day. But
I'm pushing P.
Yes. So, anyways, he was there. I missed the draft, whatever the case may be. So I come home, and Eagle was like, "What the fuck happened?" And I was like, I have no idea. I don't know what you're talking about. And he was like, "Have you seen like their drafts?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." And he goes, "They took Leonard Fournette with the first pick in the draft." And I was like, why did they do that? So I go look at their team. It's fucking terrible. They might have been in a worse situation. Honestly, they should have just taken one of the teams. They might have been in a better situation if they had just taken one of those
either.
teams.
They could have taken either team. So assumed either team, they would have been better.
Yeah,
Dude, he got
the way that I see it,
and the 1.01.
Yeah, it's like Nick's team kind of ended up as like a better version of Antaki's old team, and Baron and Kyle's team ended up as a worse version of Fitz's team, in my opinion. Yeah, they took Fournette and Carter with the second and third pick. The first overall pick in this year's draft was still on the board. The fourth overall pick, 5th, 6th, 9th, 11th. I think those all would have been better picks. I think they could have taken the 11th pick over the first overall pick, and that would have been less egregious than taking Fournette and Carter before that. So it's tough. I mean, they ended up they're in a spot where they really have to nail these picks, because I'm not even sure they really have the pieces to kind of make trades and improve that way. They kind of have to nail these picks. So it'll be interesting to see. One thing that I've heard around the league, George, people are saying that they're kind of a plant by you. You brought them in to kind of bring the bad team to your division, and now it's kind of wide open for you. It just makes it a little bit easier to win your division. You know, you're not going to have any real competition. And even though it's not like Antaki's team was doing too well and it's not like they were managed, but now you kind of have an arm extended, much like a puppeteer, into that team. So you kind of have more sway over them than you would Antaki. So now you can kind of keep them down. Maybe you can poach some assets from them. What's your response to those types of rumors?
Yeah, I think they're unfounded. I mean, I think honestly, the fact that I didn't coach them at all, it's clear that I didn't give them any advice.
Oh no,
at all.
it's very clear that you did not do much communicating.
Well,
I didn't help them in the slightest bit. So I think that should be a point in my favor. I literally am letting them come in. They gotta take their dynasty lumps. You know, we've all done it before. We've all been in a league and done some redrafts. You know, made some redraft decisions in a dynasty league. So I'm letting them get it how they live, how we all did.
Yeah, but I think you got to look at it two ways here, George. Like, if they just fucked up their draft strategy and like didn't know what they're doing, didn't do any research, didn't come in with anything, that's on them. But these two dudes didn't even know what the fuck was going on. Like, you didn't tell them it was. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't tell them it was dispersal draft. You didn't explain the concept of a dispersal draft. They didn't even know where that player pool came from. They didn't even know picks were available until the third round. I was actually taking some notes, some quotes from Baron and Kyle along as the draft went through. And like, I don't expect you to coach them on dynasty strategy or trade, but at least give your boys a heads up of what the fuck is going on.
He's putting your feet to the fire, George. What are you going to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that, you know, some of that is on. I don't know. I feel like things were kind of clearly communicated to them, you know, via the commissioner. I don't know. Maybe they didn't read some of the material. I did.
I will say, sorry to cut you off, but I will say I feel like there were plenty of supplies given to them. We did do the show, kind of breaking down everything. I did send them the draft board in a group chat with me and George. I sent them the draft board and it had all the players in it. I believe I could be wrong on that. So I feel like they were maybe given the resources to succeed, but I'm still not ruling out something that maybe George maybe withheld a little bit of information. Maybe he could have been a little more of a mentor and a guide to them, bring them into the league. But at the same time, it's a game where we're all in it to win. And George saw an opportunity to kind of tank one franchise and make it easier for himself. And it seems like he took he took a hold of that opportunity. So it'll be interesting to see how they're able to kind of manage through it. Yeah, it was interesting. Like Pete said, I don't think that they knew the draft picks were available.
I got a quote on that one actually.
Yeah, what is it?
I got three notes here I took during the draft. Round one, yo, where the fuck did this player pool come from? Baron. Round two, oh shit, we can take those picks? Kyle, or AKA KD. Baron kept calling him KD. I kind of thought that was pretty cool. And then round three, Commissioner KB, Lex, Finesse, BBB, explains basically the concept of a dispersal draft and what was going on. So like they kind of picked it up fourth round ish, but first 3 rounds, arguably the most important 3 rounds when you have a player pool that small, they were just free balling with no strategy, no clue.
Okay, but I will say this to my defense and to mostly my defense. If I didn't know what was going on, if you dropped me in the middle of a planet and you made me do some type of draft, they knew it was some type of draft, and you told me that I had a pick, and Tyreek Hill was on the board. Certainly.
Well, they took Hill went 1-1 to Nick.
And then they took Leonard Fournette.
They took Fournette.
That's what's shocking too, is that I just don't see any scenario in which Fournette is the right pick, or Carter. Even beyond the draft picks, you still had Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley.
They didn't take Calvin Ridley. Have you seen Nick's team? This guy fucking came away with every good player in the dispersal draft.
I also took some notes on some questionable decisions during the draft. They took Goddard over Freiermuth. They took Amon-Ra over Ridley and Elijah Moore. They took Michael Carter over Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Zach Wilson. No 23 draft picks were taken until the 10th round. And they took 9 straight third-round picks over some bums like Corey Davis, Will Fuller, McCole Hardman, Ty Johnson, Cam Brate, but still 9 straight third-round picks.
Right.
Yeah.
Do they know when the third round is? Yeah, I mean, I can't defend that draft.
Hey, yeah. I mean, hey, maybe they've really scouted college football this year, and they're just going to nail these picks and kind of shut us up. But I don't know. I think that they've got a challenge ahead of us. But let's talk about the other side too. So Nick, obviously, so Nick won the draft. I think that's unanimous decision, 10-8 rounds across the board, all that. But I kind of think he's getting his team's a little overrated. I think everybody's reacting to his victory in the draft and treating it and kind of failing to look at it relative to the rest of the league. I think he's got a good team, but I think people are kind of assuming how these picks are going to go and how they're going to play out. He still has to nail these draft picks. If he were to kind of not do a good job, and I mean, at 1-1, he kind of has his pick, but who knows at 5 and 6, and then even I think he just traded away that second pick, right? And he traded away what, the 6th pick? And so we'll get to that trade after, but he still has some picks that he's going to nail to kind of round out this team. But he definitely killed this draft. He's got a good base, and now he's also making moves, and he's an active owner. So it looks like he's going to kind of put in the work to kind of fill in those empty spots. Pete, what's your reaction to Nick's draft, though?
Yeah, no, I mean, great get for Francois Gamble. The turnover we've had in this league is unprecedented, and there's no doubt in my mind Nick is going to be an active owner that will stay with this league for years to come. I don't really think people are overrating his team. Like, his team is not in a good spot by any means, but he's done a lot to get there. And sure, the way Baron and Kyle drafted, they gave him a fucking layup for Nick to win this draft, but I would argue that instead of taking the layup, he jumped up and dunked it. I don't see how he could have made a better move in any single way on the board, besides maybe go after those 23 draft picks a little earlier. But I think he kind of learned that as he goes along. I was just happy that he came in with a clear-cut strategy. He knew what he was doing.
Oh, well, okay. So that's the thing with Baron and Kyle too. They didn't even get their 2023 picks. No. They don't have a first of their own in 2022 or 2023. And they only have in 23, they only have Jalow's pick, which, that could be a decent pick, but
that could be top 5.
It's like at some point you would have thought maybe they try and just grab their own picks and control their own destiny and try to rebuild that way. But I feel like everything's been said that can be said about that team. But yeah, I mean, George, what do you think about Nick's team?
Yeah, I kind of agree with noise cancel. Can't hear anything if I talk without moving a muff. I agree with everything that Pete/Alex said.
Clip that. Someone clip that.
Clip that. Put that online. Clip that.
We'll get Mikey Bowen. We'll get Mikey Bowen to do that. He's the
get it going viral. Why is Mikey Bowen not an intern producer of this show? You work way too hard producing this show to not have Mikey Bowen doing something.
No, he's the moderator for the Discord. So.
Yeah, I mean, he put for what was available. I think he literally put together the best team you could with the assets that were available.
Right.
I don't know if that makes it a great team, but I think that to Alex's point, I think that taking as the most advantage of the layup that was given to him,
he
deserves some credit. It's
Yeah, no, and for sure. And I'm not saying that it's bad. Like I said, he clearly won the draft. I'm just going off of what I've been hearing around the league and how people are viewing his team kind of in the contender picture. And I've gotten the sense that people are kind of viewing him as kind of viewing that win of the draft as a reflection of how his team stacks up to the rest. But like I said, I mean, he has an opportunity. He's got some good picks. It might be hard to get a quarterback here and kind of solve that situation, but he did just pick up Hurts. That was maybe let's get into the trades. I guess we can start with that one.
One last thing on Nick's team. I definitely don't think he's a contender. Whoever's saying that's out of their tree. But do you guys classify him as a rebuild anymore? Because I don't think I do.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think he is still a rebuild.
Okay. I mean, I think you can argue either way.
Job's not done, Alex.
Yeah, I think he's better off still viewing himself as a rebuilding team than he is going all in as a contender. I think he shouldn't, just because he did so well in the draft doesn't mean he should abandon that. He should still stick to the rebuild and try and figure something out with getting more youth and filling out these positions, especially running back. He's still got some holes at running back and quarterback. So Yeah, but so he's gotten pretty active with the trades. He's been involved in what? I think there's only been 2 trades and he's been involved in both of them. So I just mentioned Hurts. So he just traded Ridley in the 6th pick for Jalen Hurts, the 14th overall pick, and then Simcoe's 2024 second. What are some instant reactions to that? I guess I'll start. I thought it was a pretty solid trade. For Bowen, he has Stafford, he has Lance, who he's obviously committing to, which is, somewhat of a leap of faith. But I think that now is a good time to get rid of Hurts. Just an opportunity to sell him high where there is still some risk moving forward with him. It just doesn't feel like his job as a starter is totally safe. I like him. I think he's a great fantasy option, but I don't know. It just feels like the Eagles don't want to commit to him like that. But I don't know. I mean, trading Ridley, we were talking about this on the last episode. Ridley is older than a lot of people think. He's 27. But he also did trade the 6th overall pick. That could have been a very valuable opportunity to maybe grab a running back or another receiver. I don't know. George, what do you think about this trade? Do you think that there's a winner? Or what do you think about it for both sides?
It's funny. I think that Jalen Hurts is might be one of the most traded players in our league right now. I had him, traded him. He got then traded to Bowen's team, and now he's traded to Nick's team. So he's definitely been in several trades. I think it really depends on your strategy. I really think it depends on your strategy. I would have kept Calvin, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and I would have had that kind of 3-headed monster there. Then I probably would have gone heavy on the backs in the draft, and then kind of punt. It's tough to punt on the QB position, but that's probably what I would have done. And then if I needed to suss it out later, I probably would have just packaged up one of those receivers at that point. But I see why he did the deal that he did. I think it's a decent move for him. What's interesting is what realm does that put him in? Do you view Jalen Hurts as a quarterback that you're building around, or do you view him as a stopgap quarterback for this year?
Yeah, because that's what I feel like the concern is, right? Is it just who knows how much time Hurts has left? I mean, he could still have a full career with great production like this, but it does just feel like the Eagles at least are kind of itching to find a different option. And I don't know, they've kind of left the door ajar for Gardner Minshew, and then who knows if something like, I mean, I don't think Deshaun Watson's on the table anymore, but if just like a different option comes around, who knows what they might do, and then who knows what that does to Hurts' career. So that's why I thought it was a solid move for Bowen as long as Trey Lance pans out. And I don't know, Pete, you were in the poll, but what's your reaction as well?
I don't like this move from Nick, but I get it. I don't think you can trade Calvin Ridley without even knowing his value. Like, you don't really know what his value is. That would portray that Bowen is going to be buying low on Ridley, but I don't really think he bought low. Like Jalen Hurts, 2 seconds. I think that's you could probably done that when Ridley starts playing, maybe week 1 or 2 or 3 of the season. I don't know, but I don't see trading Calvin Ridley without knowing what his value is on Nick's side. But at the same time, he is rebuilt. He wants to get younger. I get the move to Hurts. Hurts was QB9 last year. He's 23. So I think Nick is kind of committed to him. I talked to him after, and he said he made the move to quarterback to take the pressure off himself to draft a quarterback in this draft and maybe go after the running backs instead. So I get it from Nick's side, but on Bowen's side, I don't really like the move on Bowen's side.
Yeah, I know Bowen's really wanted Ridley, and so I think that he's been chasing him, and I think it was probably whoever drafted him, Bowen just would have been, texting them right away.
I think
Mikey
I just
Bowen,
said I don't like
he was
that trade
upset
from either side.
Yeah, Mikey Bowen is upset about this trade going down. He was catching some heat because he was already DMing Nick before the draft even happened, and Nick even had a roster. Mikey was already DMing him about trades, trying to assume what he was going to trade for and try and trade for those assets ahead of time. So Mikey was a little pissed that his brother made the trade, and he was the one that was getting heat for hitting up Nick. But I think it's an interesting trade. It's like I don't think that there's an immediate winner. I think that this is one that will be decided further down the road, especially with the picks that are involved. But there is still some uncertainty around both players involved. Who knows where really ends up? I feel like it's a safe estimation to make that he's going to be playing again. I don't think that there's much of a concern there. So who knows? I mean, it's something like Pete, we were talking about it the other day, but like Godwin, right? He's somebody where the moment that he signs, it's like it doesn't even really matter where he signs. People just get excited about the fact that there's something new there. So it's like as soon as they go to a different team, that stock does go up. So maybe Nick was kind of trading him a little quick, but I don't know if Bone was eager to make a deal, then you know how it goes. You know how Bone is with new people in the league. So
Yeah, he's a horny little bastard. Likes to take advantage of young dynasty owners.
yeah, but there was another trade that Nick was in, and Pete, you were involved in that. So let's get some comment on that. So it was Waddle and DJ Dallas. It was one of the more questionable additional player trades I've ever seen. So it was Waddle and DJ Dallas for Barron and Kyle's 2023 first, which is, I think we're all kind of guessing is going to be a top, well, we'll say 3 pick.
Nope, 1-1.
Who knows? Keelan Cole and Tylan Wallace. So Pete, you got the 2023 Barron and Kyle pick. You got Cole, you got Wallace. Before we get to the main pieces of this trade, I do want to talk about the extra details. So what kind of went into the negotiations that added DJ Dallas, Keelan Cole, who you've already dropped, and Tylan Wallace to the trade? What went into that?
Yeah, the trade lasted about 4 days. Conversation went on for 4 days. Intense conversation. Nick Wallace was a very good responder. Disregard Cole, whatever. I don't even know who the guy was in Dallas. Like Nick threw those 3 players in at the end, which is like garbage on the side of the road to me. So the trade was 1.1 for Waddle. We were going back and forth. I was trying to get both of his 23s. He wouldn't give both of them up. He was asking for too much. Like he really drove a hard bargain. I got to give him credit. But when it comes to Waddle for the 1-1, like that was my move. I'm investing in this 23 draft class. I think it is one of the most talented draft classes we've seen in a while. And I've only been playing Dynasty for like a year and a half. So that's that. But yeah, that was my move. Waddle for 1-1. I put the Bryce Young picture in the group chat. That's my current thinking. I viewed it as I got 4 picks in this draft now and 2 this year. I think I'm way more likely to replace a wide receiver. Even though I don't think there's going to be a talent like Waddle, like he's special. I've actually been reading articles about how special he's going to be, and it makes me sad. But my move was to get a quarterback. I have Sean Watson, whose future is unknown, and I trade Russell Wilson. And the only other thing I have is Davis Mills. So I need to get a QB. This is a super flex league, and this was my move to do it.
So it's interesting to hear that you say that about Waddle and how you're missing him and how he's going to be so special. One quote I heard from a league member was that you said Waddles grow on trees. So what is it that kind of led to your switch and how you feel about Jalen Waddle?
Yeah, I mean, he's top 5 Dynasty wide receiver right now. Like if we did a startup, he probably goes top 5 wide receivers, maybe top 7, whatever. But when I said Waddle don't grow on trees, I did say that, by the way. I'm looking at these draft classes and I see 3-4 wide receivers that have this same kind of hype around Waddle. And I think, like I said, I'm more likely to replace a wide receiver relatively close to his caliber than I am to get a 21-year-old starting quarterback who's going to, run a team for 10 years and be a top elite level quarterback.
George, what do you think about the trade?
Well, after hearing him explain his thinking, it makes a little bit more sense. I think if you think the pick's going to be 1.01, it makes a little bit more sense. I don't love it though. I like Jalen Waddle a lot. I think Jalen Waddle's gonna be a player, and they're gonna get him their new head coach. I don't know if he can coach at all. I think that he literally is just a nerd that somehow finessed his way to a head coaching job.
Biracial angel.
Yeah.
Which is actually one of the craziest things there. He's a white man.
Stoner.
But I think he's gonna find a ton of ways to get Jalen. I mean, just Jalen Waddle, people saying the same thing. He's gonna find a lot of ways to get him the ball and get him involved in the offense. A wise man once told me picks turn into players, and if you have players, you should keep your players. And so I get the hype around the unknown of things that happen in future drafts. I understand the allure of being able to take a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud, but I also understand that the current players in the NFL are the current players in the NFL. and it's very difficult to know what's going to happen. Tua Tagovailoa at one point was, one of the top touted quarterbacks in college football, was, seen to be a 1.01 type player, and then he broke his hip and then fell to wherever he fell to, and then has turned out to be a mediocre quarterback. So,
He will be unlocked by Mike
it's very
McDaniel.
risky. It's very risky, but I get the thinking behind it, so I don't think it's a crazy trade. But I like Jalen Waddle a lot.
Yeah. A wise man once said, "There's value in the proven commodity, but there's excitement in the draft pick." And I think that there's a lot of hype around these draft picks where maybe the proven player is kind of undervalued because there's not as much excitement when you kind of know what you have, where people kind of, it's like the old Family Guy, Peter Griffin mystery box or a boat, where the mystery box could be anything, even a boat. It's like, okay, yeah, you could maybe replace a Jalen Waddle, but Jalen Waddle is also kind of a best case scenario, at least so far, right? Because, I mean, it's not like breaking the rookie record for receptions is something that people do every season. I think it was Anquan Bolden's record. He was a rookie a long time ago. So, that's a special player, but you also seem to have a lot of belief in this draft class. So
I would love
power
to talk
to you.
about it.
Wishing you the best. Some are saying that maybe you could have demanded more and maybe you kind of let Nick body you in these negotiations, but that's not me. That's just what I've been hearing around the league. That's just been the general reaction. I'd say from not all, a majority. So, you still have that on your side. Not all, like 10 of the 12 teams probably. So those are both trades. It just feel like the trade market's heating back up. George, have you been scouting around? I know you said you've been more focused on the rookie draft.
Yeah, we've been locked into the rookie draft. As you know, we traded away all our first round draft picks. So we kind of have to go a little bit deeper this year than some other guys. So we were down at the Senior Bowl a couple of nights ago. We were down there scouting players, and people were telling me, top 10 is not where you want to be in this draft. If you look at the draft, the mock drafts, a skill position player doesn't even go in the top 10. So it's a depth draft, and that's where we are. We're positioned, for some depth picks with some, second round picks in there. So yeah, we've been sniffing around, Senior Bowl, talking to coaches, talking to scouts. Obviously we laid the groundwork out throughout the season so that, we can pick right back up where we started. But obviously when you win the championship, you're a little bit behind in some of those areas than other teams. Pete, for example, obviously had plenty more time to scout those players than we did. So we're just trying to catch up on all that at this point and haven't really been able to, dip our toes in the trade market at all.
Pete, what's next for you? I feel like you're not done dealing.
Yeah, I'm definitely not done dealing. I'd be very surprised if I actually own my 1.8 and my 110 at the time of the draft. Maybe I'll have 110, but I'd be very surprised if I actually own 1.8. But in terms of like what I'm looking at, I'm over 2022. I'm not a big fan of this draft class. I don't think it fits my team in terms of positions available. And I'm on to 2023. I've got 4 first-round draft picks in 2023. I'm looking at guys like Bijan Robinson, Bryce Young, Jackson Smith and Jigma, CJ Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs, Tank Bigsby, Sean Butte, Michael Mayer. I mean, this 23 draft class looks exactly like the way Mikey Bowen rebuilt his team. I guess you can say Mikey Bowen didn't really rebuild, but I saw the players he took in that draft, and I said, okay, I think I got to commit to a draft class that's got the same talent, and I'm gambling that it's 23.
And we are the friends who gamble. You talk about trading this 1.8 and 110. How about you just plug it for the show? What are you kind of looking to get for anybody watching, anybody trying to get those picks? What should they be looking to offer you to get those picks?
I mean, if it's a player, it's got to be youth on a position that I don't have. I'm not interested in getting wide receivers. I've got 2024s too. I think I can fill my wide receiver positions, which is why I kind of felt okay trading Waddle. It's running backs and picks, really. Running backs, picks is what I'm looking for. Youth on the running back side, obviously.
Interesting. What about like a young running back? Let's see.
Don't say Clyde.
Like 22 years old, has connections to Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. What do you think about a running back like that?
I actually do think Clyde's not a bad buy low in this offseason. But I don't see it from me. Not my guy.
I feel like it's a way to get a good running back that maybe you couldn't get that type of age and situation that late with that type of draft pick, but different strokes for different folks. George, so you're saying that you see no value in these first round picks. I know that you have a second round pick and you're not looking to move on from that because you are looking to still add youth in this draft. Do you still feel that way, or has your mind changed over the last couple of days?
Man, it's a fluid situation, right? So depending on, I think for us, it's gonna, especially because we have that early second round pick. A lot of it depends on how things break during the draft. I think we're going to be active during the draft window that week. I think we're definitely going to be active because depending on how the board falls, I think that's where we're going to have to make our moves, whether we see a player that might be sliding that we like, we might jump up to get him, or we might see a player that, is undervalued that we could, get at 2-3 or whatever the case may be. So I would say, as of right now, we're looking at it as adding youth, but the biggest thing for us is how are things breaking during the draft. And that's probably when I would expect us to be our most active.
Yeah. So speaking of the draft, I've been putting some thought into it. I don't want to set a date yet. I am thinking just with how this league is, we're probably going to want to do it like immediately after the actual NFL draft. So we'll have it close to that. We'll have it. I was thinking within 2 weeks after the draft, right? Maybe do like a week. Everybody prepares, and then that next week we can do the draft. What do you guys think? So, Pete, you were actually in the Discord. George, you only stopped by to say hi. What do you guys think if we did the draft, right? We were all on Discord, kind of in that same setting, but we'd still be on Sleeper, right? We could still have like the board pulled up, and I could even share my screen and have the draft board up, and then we could kind of go through the draft and just do like way less time on picks. Or did you guys think that maybe doing hours between picks was the move? What do you guys think? What do you guys prefer, I guess?
George?
I mean, as I just said, I would expect myself to be pretty active in the trade market. So that, I think what you just said is more electric. I think that it will likely limit trades just from the standpoint of there will be less, ability for back and forth. So
yeah,
it
would require more kind of work to be done ahead of the draft and just kind of have scenarios kind of planned out, I guess. And we could also do, it could be something where we kind of do like a loose clock. We're not too strict. So it's like, hey, like we're about, I don't know. I feel like some details need to be ironed out because it definitely would limit trading during the draft. But like you said, I do think that from a content perspective, it would be more electric. And I feel like there is some controversy around how long draft picks take and people abusing the clock and that type of stuff. So I don't know, maybe it's something we could put up for a poll, but I do think that having some type of interaction in the Discord would be a good idea. Pete, what did you think of the Discord during the dispersal draft?
Yeah, I love the stage of it. I just think the dispersal draft versus the rookie draft is kind of like a different beast. As someone who's going to trade my draft picks in the first round, like I want my time. KB, look, you got Mac Jones by waiting a whole nother day in the second round, making that move the next day. So maybe Discord, I don't know, a couple ideas, Discord for the first 3, 4, 5 picks, but like no one's going to want to.
Maybe we could do like a round, do like the first round and just do like the first round for one night.
What's on the clock?
And then we could expand, then that would expand the time on the clock. So it would be 12 picks. And then I don't know, we could set 2 hours. How long does that make each pick? 10 minutes?
Yeah. And half the teams,
20 minutes?
Teams aren't even in the first round. So like they don't even need to join if they don't want to.
Yeah. I don't know, George, what do you think about that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the idea of getting everybody together in the Discord.
You hate it, George. Say it with your chest.
It does sound like you hate it.
Say it with your chest.
I'm thinking that some other options, if we're just throwing ideas out there, would potentially be, because I do agree with the time aspect of it.
Yeah. The last year was.
I do think that maybe potentially having it over a set, because everybody's gonna be work. So I do think like putting it on like a weekend potentially, and just having it be like a 48-hour, like the whole draft happens in 48 hours, or something like that, where you still have like a condensed time period, but it's in a time where people like, hey, this Friday through Sunday we're drafting, or whatever the case may be. and then maybe we can put up different slots for people to hop into a Discord, and we can just talk through like, oh, these people are in trade talks or whatever the case may be. Almost like kind of like live shows during the draft window. Could maybe set some of that stuff up. But I do think having the time to go back and forth with like the individual is useful.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's also, I don't know. I feel like people do drag out trade negotiations. I feel like people could be maybe a little more.
You could get more trades quicker from the clock, limiting that back and forth.
That's what I'm kind of thinking. I mean, I just feel like people kind of drag out the trade process because we had, what did we even set it to? Fucking 8 hours a pick or something.
Yeah, it was like 8 hours a pick between like 9 and 5.
Yeah, like I feel like people are maybe a little dramatic with how long they need to think about stuff. Maybe we could preach quicker decision making, being more decisive. I don't know. I think it'll be. I think there are some options to explore, and I think that it's definitely worth kind of pulling the league, because I know that there was some back and forth regarding how long the picks were. So some people might still be in favor of shorter picks. So I guess we can also see what people want. But yeah, I think it would be fun to kind of incorporate the Discord in some type of way, and I think that we're going to continue to do that moving forward with different things. Maybe we could bring back the press conferences and do some stuff like that. Maybe we could even, hey, like a big Sunday night game or something. We got a big matchup coming down to it. We all hop on the Discord. We just talk some shit. I don't know. We could see something like that. So yeah, we'll figure it out. But Mikey Boney's been hired as the mod for that. That's his new job. So we'll have him continue to grow the Discord. Pete, what were you starting to say?
I said I do love this drive for content out of UKB. Like I'm all for it. I'm willing to shape my vote and interests to the content.
And there's plenty of details we got to figure out too, just logistically. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what works best for people. But I think that it would be nice to have some interactive aspect of the draft beyond like the chat or something. But yeah, we'll see. George, you got anything else?
Nothing for me, dog.
Pete, you got anything else to add?
Who's your 1-1? Who's Nick take?
I mean, I feel like he's going to go running back.
Brees?
Well, who's the other one? Who are the top two? Tall
Brees
and
Spiller.
Spiller. That's right. It was Spiller. I don't know. I mean, everything I've been reading is that it's back and forth on those two. I don't really have much of a preference because I just don't have any picks yet, so I haven't put too much thought into what I would take.
Simcoe wants Brees at 1.
Yeah, I know Simcoe's looking running back. I know the Vivers at 3. They're probably going to be looking running back. So I think that maybe these wide receivers get pushed more to the middle of the first round. I think that'll be interesting to see. But I do know that Igor has been down to kind of trade out. So who knows? Somebody might trade up, grab a receiver there, and get some stuff. But it'll be interesting to see. I think these quarterbacks might fall, and at some point they do kind of gain some value. But if they end up being as underwhelming as some people think this class is, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think that's all that we got. Thank you to Sundog Multimedia. Thank you to Easy Peasy Moving Services. Lex, Pinz, Pete. We will be back next week.